My name's Craig Biddle. The sculpture garden was a field of wildflowers, and it really bored me. So I started to plant trees, and then I realized, oh my goodness, I could put the sculptures down there. Almost all biblical characters, and they all have a story about it. I saw myself in them, every one of them, male and female. They're all self-portraits, although they don't look like me. Inside, they are me. That's who I am. There you are, frozen for the rest of your born days. And you can go back to it and say, I don't deny it, that's who I was. They all represent me. And the 10 standing, singing men is a true history of my life. I was excited about it, David, after I left Florence, Italy, having seen the real David, and so that's my version of him. Not quite as big. Called baptism, and it's John the Baptist baptizing Jesus. And since they were cousins, they kind of look alike. And they were about the same age. Abraham, he led the people of Israel out of Ur of the Chaldees up in there towards the Promised Land. He was the founder, the foundation point of Christianity, Muslim, and Jew. They all look to Abraham as a founder. That is Samson running away from Delilah, who is after him to cut his hair, which is the source of his strength. That's Delilah. She's looking up at the window where David is looking down. And that's the pool that she's right beside. She's beckoning to him. It was a two-way process. David was looking and she was looking. Both. She wasn't innocent. She wasn't guilty either. A friend asked me to do a sculpture of the phrase, "on the wings of angels." It is supposed to be a symbol of death, flying away with angels, and that's what this is. That's a lamb. He's holding the lamb up for Jesus to bless. He's anguished, but he's also anxious. And the little lamb is totally innocent. But it's a very powerful moment for the two of them. I had trouble with the lamb, but I got him right, I think. Hagar and Ishmael. Hagar is the mother. She was the first child of Abraham. But her mother was a servant of Abraham and Sarah. And Sarah gave Abraham permission because Sarah was 96 years old. She couldn't have babies. So this was the first child. Ishmael became not just the Moby Dick character, but he became the progenitor of the Muslim religion. Adam is crudely approaching Eve. So this is the beginning of life, supposedly. So this is called Joseph and Son, and it's Joseph and the baby Jesus. And in my years of Bible study, I realized many times that Joseph was really underrated because that wasn't even his kid, if the legends are true. And so he's, the model for this was an African man that and then I loved his face, and I loved his big hands, and so I made him the father of Jesus. This is a very serious one. In my study of the Bible, I never saw a picture of Jesus looking at his wounds. This is after the cross. It's in the resurrection. And the important thing about this sculpture is that he kept the scars. The scars we have go into the resurrection. And that was very important to me. And that's why he's looking. What? I was supposed to be clean. I had a piece of soapstone that I didn't know what to do with. So I decided to do a bust or a lower part of a man. And this is what it ended up. And she's called Comfort. That was from a model that I worked with for a while. And it was a marvelous black woman who posed for that. Three kind of nude studies, all from models. This woman is called Yearning, and she was a model that I worked from. These two, this guy was a model, and so was he, same guy. So these are just studies, and they're all made of bronze. From a model, she was very reluctant. Her name was Ruby, and Ruby worked with us for a while. This artist group that I was with, and I kind of liked her. And she looks reluctant, and she was reluctant. She was very pretty. It's called The Athlete. It's just a straight man, a runner, who I felt I really wanted to capture him, and I've sold several of those. Actually, I've sold a lot of them. It has no title except it was done for a company in Virginia that manufactures lighter than aircraft, and they go higher than the satellites, and very cheaply they can go way up there. And he wanted to give prizes to his best employers and employees, and I made about 6 of these for him. And that's a wing of a plane. And the total, I mean, one hand you could lift. That's how light they were. This is from a photograph in the New York Times. And it's a remnant. There used to be 3 boys, and they were huddled in the corner of a store. It was freezing cold, and they were keeping each other warm, and they had a photograph of it. And this was my interpretation of that photograph, with one boy missing. They're just holding each other to keep each other warm. When I was in Israel, it was the beginning of the Intifada, which was the revolution of the Arabs in Palestine. And the front page of the Israeli news had a picture of this. Intifada was using stones and slingshots, and it was a great picture. So I brought it home and made a sculpture out of it. It stands for resistance. It's not anti-Jewish, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it's pro-human. 9/11, I did this almost immediately after September 11th, 2001. And it was my kind of semi-abstract interpretation of the horror of it. I had just finished bicycling across America, and I felt that what had happened on 9/11 was an affront, not just to the world and the country, but to me personally. So that's why I did that. I sold it, actually, and then the woman that bought it died and gave it back to me. That's come when I first met my wife. No longer wife, but now my partner. We were deeply in love. We still are, but in a very different way. You know, this was 30 years ago. That's just Janie and me. We kissed each other in the woods. So I wanted to display it. And you'll notice I have hair. Well, this is the next step after that other one. It depicts sexual love, but without any suggestion of unwarranted or unwanted love. It's out in the woods. That was good, too. Lovers embrace, and it's precisely what it is. A time when men had gathered together for a weekend, and this was at the end of the weekend. They celebrated the life that they had lived together for that weekend, and it's called. There's one drummer and 9 men, and they all obviously naked, and they represent almost every every race and every kind of person, overweight, underweight, Indian, black, old, young, pretty much everybody who was in this in the program. He's one of my favorites. He stands out there in a corner. He's made out of Arkansas limestone. I went all the way out there to get a big chunk of it. They have a good limestone quarry out there. I wanted to represent the other half of life. I'm not homeless and I'm not hungry, but he is. And I put him up there because I thought it would be good for the neighborhood to know that there are other people besides themselves. I guess it's a lesson. Those are just those hands. Well, they're reaching for heaven by themselves. Hands are very important. I think the human touch is enormously important. It lasts forever. The hand is very important in a human life. It's not just for making things it's for touching people. What is it meant for them? Oh, they love to be looked at. Half of them are naked, so they're very happy to be looked at. It means everything in the world to find that my sculptures gathered where they are actually popular. 8 or 10 people go through that park every day. And I'm amazed, absolutely amazed, because they're quite beautiful and you can't see them any other place.